Good day. Today we'll talk about the narrative structure of McEwan's Enduring Love. My name is Bogdan Fiorkio. So, what about background? In this book, namely The Enduring Love by Ian McEwan, he explored the disorder and fragmentation of a society in which his characters are grasping for some sort of value or direction to give their lives a semblance of meaning, or at least make them tolerable. As Michael Adams has absolutely observed, all of McEwan's novels are to some extent a meditation on alienation. So his protagonists are depicted in a struggle with political and psychological forces that seem to be expressions of the darkest sides of human behavior. That, by the way, significantly influences the narrative structure. He is, by the way, a very interesting author in terms of experiments concerning both genre, thinking, and time combined together. Ian McEwan overall has been described as the maestro of creating the particular sickening, scissoring type of suspense that demands a kind of physical courage from the reader to continue the reading process. The narrative is establishing and re-establishing itself. It is clearly foregrounded as the means through which rationality, identity, and especially a sense of temporal coherence repeatedly try to establish themselves. At the beginning of the text, as Joe and Clarissa attempt to come to terms with the ballooning accident and death they have witnessed, there is an instant tension between the forces of narration and those of meditation or repetition. Quotation. The beginning is simple to mark. We were in sunlight under a turkey oak, partly protected from a strong gusty wind. I was kneeling in the crust with the corkscrew in my hand. Clarissa was passing me the bottle, and its 1987 dome was crossing. This was the pinprick in the time map. I was stretching out my hand, and as the cognac and the black foil touched my palm, we heard a man shout. We should think, is the author precise? He tries to be. Because at the end of the text, McEwan appends his notes and fully reproduced in a French journal article on the Clermont syndrome, the condition with which the fanatic Perry is identified. Such ratified documentation should represent some epistemological anchor for the narrative. Documentation is of a high importance. It opens the text, and we should read it on the meta level. Thus, appendices must be considered as presenting us both with the neutrality of information and with the knowledge with its duplicity. For instance, the novel somehow educates us about the pathology of gender but contradicts with itself in a number of occasions. This is conveyed to the reader in the frequent and nuanced juxtapositions of science and narrative throughout the novel, which occurs in an increasingly ironic undertow as the story progresses. But again, is the author objective? He tries to be. This paper we already talked about, that has a name, a homoerotic obsessions with religious overtones, a clinical variant of the Clermont syndrome. It describes a case identical to the one around which the narrative is based. The panics is an invention of McEwan's, and with his author Sven and Camille being an anagram of his name. So McEwan later submitted this journal to the Real One British Journal of Psychiatry. However, he was refused to publish it since it was not real, it was mystification. We can see kind of the doubleness of the story. So we investigate the inner and outer narration. The novelistic version itself, which is Joe's account, repeats the structural oscillation at a thematic level. Joe, as the writer, professionally preoccupied by narrative objectivity whenever himself targeted by events, inevitably takes mental fight at those moments when he doesn't know what to do, like after a balloon accident, for example. Actually, we are not sure, can we trust the narrator? Because narrativity is identified as the medium through which Joe articulates his own masculine knowledge and agency. He's a science writer, and his journalistic work is alternately a narration of scientific advances for popular understanding and an exploration of the depth of narrative in science. And through narrative, very consciously, he both succeeds and fails to address the disruption precipitated by the fanatic Perry. We can see an unreliable narrator, and his perverse. It recapitulates in the level of Jamie, the novel's central theme that unreliability is an ineradicable part of others are. We see that it starts with a sad piece, a balloon accident, and Joy is part of that. The death happened, and we see the breakdown, and that the professional, rational male is supposed to actually to be broken. There is also an absence of focus, for example, in the restaurant or page number like 164, when you see the loss of connection between the reader and the author, and we see that Joe is doing a lot of activities, but sometimes he's messed up, and so on. We see also topic switching, so Joe makes use of multiple stories in this part of the narrative, and he constantly switches back and forth from one story to the next, resulting in the uncertainty of the reader. And for example, I would have liked to tell the story if only against his arm, and it's in one sentence, and then another topic is switched on, and so on and so on. Generally, that's all for this topic. Thank you very much for listening. See you in the next video. Goodbye.